Everything a man does for himself, he takes to his grave with him. But everything he does for others, he leaves behind. You want to begin to look at and start developing generational thinking. What is it that I can leave for generations yet unborn?
Welcome back to another episode with Real Talk with Kenny Joe. This is episode 3.
Episode 3. One more to go. I want to let all of the viewers know I am very humbled that you guys are watching this. I didn't know that people wanted to get some informative information, but as my daughters told me, I want you to get your notes ready on your phone. Pencil and paper is obsolete. So we got a nice program ready for you. We want to send a shout out to Charles Rogers. And really, the reason I'm thinking about Charles Rogers, I think about the system that failed this man. How does one kid go through Michigan State and Saginaw Public Schools? So we have to rethink about this education. We're going back to this education thing today. And there's one word, it's called individualized holistic education. I will expand that to you. Also, for the first time subscribers to Prophecy's YouTube channel, we have 15 books that we got as a gift, motivating black males to achieve in school and above. This is from a good brother out of Newark, New Jersey, Barati Kalafi, who is very dynamic. This right here give you some prescriptions for our kids and what to do. And also, I was just telling my nephew, I know they just came back from California. This is a book right here that he said that people didn't know about history. This is Lessons from History, Celebration of Blackness from Kwanzaa Kajufu. You can get this on Amazon online for $3. This is a dynamic book to just uplift our people. Remember, this whole program is about uplifting. But go ahead with your question. Right?
Yeah, no, we'll leave a link to that book in the description on YouTube. And if you subscribe to the channel, take a screenshot of your subscription and email it to real.ish.radio. I'm going to put the email address right here. And the first 15 people will get you the book, or if you're not in the Detroit area, we'll mail it to you. So make sure you do that. Subscribe. Send us a screenshot of it to real.ish.radio. The first 15 people to do that, we're going to send them out free copies of this book. So where we going today?
Oh, where we going today? I was listening to a song this weekend on the radio, Erykah Badu, and it said, it had one thing on there, you want to pick your friends like you pick your fruit.
Interesting.
So I say, parents, you want to pick your kid's school like you pick your fruit. And people say, who is this thing geared to? I say everybody, but primarily parents of kids who are in school. It's really for grandparents, because I had the opportunity to talk to one of my great parents. She turned 79. She have raised over, she told me, 84 grandkids. So this is for that particular. But let me just piggyback on Erykah Badu.
Okay.
We put kids in a situation where they can't win. Every school is not for everybody. In Baltimore, the school that Tupac and Jada Pinkett graduated from, was a performing arts school. Mm-hmm. You see, sometimes we asking our kids to drive a bus, a yellow school bus, in a Ferrari in a Formula One race. They are vehicles, but they're designed for different things.
Okay.
When I say individualized holistic education, if you have a kid who's a great athlete, there's nothing the matter with putting him into one of those AIG schools, one of those prep schools. But everybody's not 6'8". Everybody can't run a 4.40. We have to find out what is best. When I say holistic, it's like Baskin Robbins. It's 31 flavors. No one flavor is better. So right now, while we're failing our kids, we're talking about insanity. We keep putting our kids in these deserts, in these educational deserts. I don't care if you're in Oakland, South Central, Houston, Fifth Ward, New Orleans. The whole New Orleans educational system is charter. So charter school and money don't work. Parent, you got to get on your job. You got to go to these schools. You got to make these people work. It's called, the people with means, they self-select. When you look at Andover, Exeter out in Maryland, these people send their kids to military schools, private schools. In Detroit area, that's why you have Brother Rice. They are self-selecting what's best for their kid. We leave our kids to the premise that every teacher care about our kid, which most of them do. But when you sit back and you look at Superintendents coming to work at 9 o'clock, leaving at 2. You look at school board members from all over the spectrum, have political agendas, not running a policy. Would let the superintendent do his or her job, and the principal, the poor principal, he has no really say. He has say in the building, but it's so much top down. That's why people send their kids to Montessori schools. You got to self-select. You got to pick your kid's school like you pick an apple at the market.
That make a lot of sense, but what about the kid? What about the parents that can't afford that? Because a lot of these schools that you speak of are not free.
No, that's. Well, I tell you what. You have in Detroit, you have a vocational center right there on 6 Mile and Ida Drive, or a 6 Mile in Schaefer. I think it's called Randolph, where they teach them how to do roofing. Mm-hmm. You have another one on the east side. These are public institutions, and with the school of choice, they have buses that come get the kids. Economics shouldn't be a barrier. That's why we have school vouchers in certain states, in Wisconsin and Florida. Some states, not just Michigan. This show is national, which I've learned. I have to talk to audiences all over the country, and we even got somebody email me or took my phone off the first one from Anchorage, Alaska. This is not a money thing. We can make it a money thing. We don't want to give anybody an excuse, or we don't want to impede you. And also parents, remember, educators work for you. People, you guys got that twisted. You come to the schools and you think you should bow down. No, we should bow down to you, because remember this here. Here's something disturbing. You're talking about money. This week in the LA Times, it costs, I think, $78,000 to educate a kid. To put him in prison for 1 year. And they give you $8,000 in Michigan. So that's a $70,000 value. As I told you once, our money and our time, that's where I value it. I think the government is more interested in locking up people that look like me and you.
Oh, that's a fact. That's a fact. The school to prison pipeline. Yeah, it's a big thing. And even with just like you said, disparity of money. Like, they closing schools, building prisons. It costs more to imprison somebody than to educate. They'd rather put the money into that, and they're not rehabilitating anybody, because the recidivism rate wouldn't be so high. Because most people that go to jail end up going back.
Well, guess what? We could talk about the recidivism rate, but when let's get back to what you said about the money. You have a dynamic principal that I used to work with. She's over at I think it's right there on Ida Drive, Krista King. Then you got the Ben Carson School downtown Detroit, where the kids are graduating with high school diplomas in phlebotomy, working right at the high schools. But then here's what parents you got to pay close attention to. Go to your kid's school 20 minutes after the bell ring. If 50% of the parking lot has exited teachers, you need to look for another school. That's how you make, when you look at high achieving school, some teachers stay beyond the bell. When you get parents asking for extra help, you have, I'm wearing my little badge today from Wayne State University. It's called C2 Pipeline, where they bring in after school tutoring for like 30 different schools all over Metro Detroit. Take advantage of that. It's things are in place, but you don't know because you're not reading. You don't know because you don't come. Remember, talk to the principal, talk to the superintendent, go to the board meetings, become engaged. We talk about that recidivism rate. First, let's eliminate the jail rate. We can control our economy. But look at the images. Look at this right here. I just left the local Kroger's. What they say? Angel food cake, devil food cake. Same thing. Black cat, white cat. 8-ball, cue ball leader. You look at an NFL game, you see the guy with the white hat. He can be away from the play. It's subconscious. You make you hate yourself. So when you be involved in education for 13 years where teaching you nothing about yourself, that's why you need to read the Wrong Bennett Before the Mayflower and learn about yourself. That's why you got to go and get this Kwanzaa Kajufu. My nephew, he gets on me about advertising these people, but I'm just trying to emphasize a point. I'm going to take this off. But anyway, what's your next question?
So with that being said, people need to research schools. I think that's a big deal too. They just go to the school that either in their neighborhood or they don't. I think a lot of people don't understand that some of these free schools are available. And so I think the parent needs to do more research on the schools instead of just putting them in a school that's local to them and see what opportunities that they have for their kids. I think that's a big issue.
Well, I tell you what, that is why I'm excited about this, commit myself to this for one more episode, because platforms like this, platforms like what we're doing right now, are reaching a different segment of people who are not savvy enough to navigate around the newspapers. When you talk about a push out, drop out, school to prison pipeline, I don't want to bore you with statistics, but the reason why this is going on, I was talking to a judge Monday. He just sentenced a boy to natural life, shot another man in front of people for a $10 dice game in Southwest Detroit. The girl is pregnant. The boy got a baby. The judge say, look, we can't help him. The state of Michigan, I can't help him. He was 18. Now, look at the taxing on the system. You got 2 babies. There's going to be state welfare, the mother, and we taking care of him for $70,000, $50,000 a year for the rest of his life. But we could put that same revenue in that K through 8 education, K through 12 education, and we can eliminate that. Because listen, you have students right now are coming from on the bus 2 hours a day, passing several schools just to get to another school. Parents are selecting, but you cannot just select because they got a good football team. You can't select because you perceive safety. You got to select because here's what's the most important thing. We talked about this, is developing some literary skills in which their kid can take care of his or herself for the rest of their life.
Yeah, I think that make a lot of sense. But like I said, it's going to take the parent to take that extra step, which hopefully they see this and understand that these options are there for their kids. Because a lot of people are out here blind, and if you're blind, your kid's going to be blind because you're not showing them the way. They trying to fend for themselves. So I think, like I said, like you said, platforms like this can open up eyes and ears to different ways to get their kids educated, or just different ways to get their kids in a better position.
Well, I tell you what, you can go to any Foot Locker. You was just out in LA this week. You go to any Foot Locker, when they releasing the Jordans, the kids miss school. So I believe that people find what they want to find.
Yeah.
Okay. Then we got to look at this here. We'll come back to diet a little bit. Families talk about they're poor, but everybody got an Apple phone that costs $1,000. And a lot of kids don't want to come to school because they want to wear that Canadian Goose, the Air Jordans, whatever the fresh gear. I'm not really into all that, but I understand peer pressure. So the parents, sometimes we may have to go to the Nike store and pass out some of these things. But how do we reach parents? And the churches, they used to be an avenue, but the churches are not community churches anymore. Then we talk about developmental delays. See, what they're doing with our males, they putting them all in special ed. They giving them all Ritalin, every other chemical. And in these formative years right now, here's what happens. They take the boy and they say he's a behavior problem in the 2nd grade. Then they put him in special ed. Then they water down the curriculum. By the time he or she figure out that, hey, I can remember when I was younger at school, I had teachers that looked like me, understood me. I'm hyper to this day. I would raise my hand and let me run around the building, I'd come back. They tried to put me in special ed, but my mother wasn't going for it. Nowadays, these mothers let these psychologists misdiagnose. When you see these little young men all over the country shooting each other like animals, because they have not been taught to love themselves. They haven't been taught to love other people. One sad thing, I've been looking at this churches line all over the country. Who's cooking food? If the line is long like that every day, you eat that savage food. That savage food make you become savage in your behavior. And that starts at the mama. And that starts at the daddy. I'm not blaming the mamas or the daddies, but guess what? Our kids are hurting. That is why I'm here. We here to uplift, and I'm talking to that mother who don't know what time it is. Look, I hope this program helps you out. When you go to your school and you see these people running around in their suits and driving their Lexus and BMW, and they not caring about your kid, when your kid come home with that worksheet, when your kid can't read and that kid is 8 years old, that's your fault. It's a trifold. It's the teacher, the student, and the parent. So guess what? You got to get off that phone, get off that internet, quit running your mouth, get out that casino, quit clubbing, and make these people who get paid, because you have some committed people in these schools. And you have some $3 bills. We ain't calling nobody out. But it's your responsibility for your kid, because the people are just trying to build jails for our babies.
That's a fact. I mean, and history shows that. So it's not even like it's something new we telling them. But I don't think they understand that, because, that's not going to happen to my kid. But yes, it's possible. The odds are in favor that it can happen. So I think that's a big thing that needs to be discussed. Like, this discussion is great, because what it's leading to is, I know a few of my friends, we all grew up together, and we all are not in the same positions right now. Some of them took different routes. But if they had some more information to keep them motivated on a straight path, they could be a different future.
Well, I had a guy, it kind of hurt me. My last graduation, I'm coming out to school about 9:30, 10 o'clock, and I saw a guy who I went to kindergarten with, my age. He was sleeping up in the press box at the football field.
Wow.
And I didn't say anything, but no, he told me, he said, you know what, I used to think your mother was crazy. Y'all had to do homework. He said, what if I would have had your mama and you would have had my mama? What do you think would have happened?
It'll be reversed.
But guess what, though? Here's the solutions. See, the reason why these kids drop out, they don't feel supported or challenged, low expectations. When I was a teacher at McKenzie, I had a class, I was teaching biology, but when we got to the botany part, all of my adult guys, who everybody thought was crazy, they all got A's. When I showed them about a xylem and a phylum and a stegma and how this grow, they was getting A's. The principal come to my room. He said, how you get this guy A? He never come to school. He came to school for those 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. When we talk about the Punnett square and the genetic and the positive and the dominant genes, all the girls, they ate it up. I still see them. Some of these ladies, 40 years old, they come to me, they talk about that. So teachers, you got to get out of that little stale way of teaching from 1970, 1980, 1990. It's a new type of kid.
Yeah.
We got to reach that kid, and we keep doing the same old, worrying about a test. The ACT, the SAT, God bless them, but some colleges not even making you look at that stuff. If you would have predicated an ACT test on me or any of those tests, I probably wouldn't be sitting here today. You can't measure a person's heart. But parents, that's your responsibility. These schools, listen, I love them, but guess what, though? The reason they are getting a free pass, you cannot get away with this foolishness, this buffoonery in a Novi or a Laguna, California, but you can do it in Watts. And the reason I'm speaking because about California and Detroit, because these are two cities I'm in, and I know a lot of people, and we got the same problems.
Yeah, it's universal as far as our community.
Okay, what's your next question?
Well, I really don't have a question. I just want you to expound on just different ways we can try to stop this cycle.
Oh, well, I tell you what. Here's where it started. It starts when that baby first come out the crib. It starts with reading that baby stories. It starts with giving that kid educational items. It starts with finding out that kid's strength. See, as a parent, and as a coach or as a leader, my job is to put you in a position with your strengths. I'm not going to ask Shaquille O'Neal to be a point guard. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to ask Allen Iverson. He's tough to go down and get a rebound. It's not going to work. Physics doesn't work that way. So as parents, we got to, when I say pick that school like Erica Badu, we got to look at our kid and be honest. Some parents be delusional. I've had parents tell me their kid going to play college basketball and the kid couldn't shoot. I had some people tell me, their kid is going to University of Michigan and the kid is struggling in basic algebra, basic geometry. I'm not knocking the kid's dream, but sometimes we have to have realistic expectations. Also, solutions is when you decide to become a parent, be a parent.
Okay.
Put the club up. Having someone to have expectations, and I keep going back to that, expectations to show you positive images, not letting you see the Bojangles, not letting you see that you was a servitude. Go take the people. You remember that movie a couple years ago called Hidden Figures?
Yeah.
I was appalled when I saw that. I just saw Harriet the other day. I know we're talking contemporary. Take the kids to see Harriet Tubman. Let the kids know about John Brown. There was a couple good Europeans in this program, but let them know that we built not just Benjamin Banneker, the White House. Let them know that we built the pyramids. They just found all these nice Nubian things, which is our people, got our DNA. Let them know about the Australians, the Aboriginals. Let them know that we're not no savage beast monkeys. And the reason why you see these boys 13 years old shooting each other in broad daylight and creating that school to prison pipeline is because they don't have a vision. You go talk to any young man in some of these environments and you ask them, what are you going to do when you get 25? They'll look you in the face and tell you, I'll probably be dead, because I was one. I didn't have a plan after 25. I figured, like everybody else, it wasn't that people wasn't positive around me. I didn't see it. And then you talk to kids, why go to school? They say, why go to school? My mama is laid off. I got a good friend work for some school, used to work for a store called Mervin's. Big buyer, making $200,000. He's working at Wendy's because he put all of his eggs in that basket, and he has a bad attitude about school. See, school, we go for a job. If you don't go to school to learn how to be a technician, design this, look at what the Japanese do. They take our scrap steel, this microphone. We send it to them. They give us 20 cents. They sell it back to us for 900 because it's called intellectual. When you look at a country like Sweden, all the chocolate, all the watches. When you look at a Switzerland, the watches come out of there. Sweden, Volvo. You look at some of the. We have to understand our sales and our talents. We're some great orators. We, like I say, I'm not going to even go there with the churches because I got too many people got mad at that. But the churches got something to do with this. You need to let these parents know what's going on. But a lot of us are trying to perpetuate the same thing because a lot of people get money on this.
Oh yeah.
Remember, in Michigan, this is a $14 billion enterprise. So it's not really. Remember, it's a negative circle. If we get rid of the local dope dealer, the prosecutor won't have a job. The judge won't have a job, the turnkey guy. And people don't want to deal with that. They want to keep, some people got to be suppressed. But my thing, we want to lift everybody up. And there's more positive money in our economy.
Definitely. We definitely need to do that because if we can break that cycle.
If we can break that cycle.
And then rebuild. Like, as far as like rebuilding like our communities, like think about how many black-owned businesses that we don't have as far as, like, just say Visitor Road, for example. I always use that as an example because I actually saw the pictures of how it used to be.
Well, I tell you what, because here's what's going on in the neighborhood. We don't understand credit. Okay. You go to college, they give you that $500 credit card. You end up paying 29%. By the time you pay it off, if you pay it off, you got 7 years of adversarial credit. Okay, now your credit is $500. Then you go get the payday loan. I stopped in the payday loan place just to see. You get $600, you end up paying $1,800 back. Bondage. Then you go to renter center. You go to, most of these people got all this nice furniture in these projects. You'll see a renter center. That's just predators. Mm-hmm. So we have to teach about money, how money works. And we can't look at other cultures, how they pool their money together, but we don't really trust each other, love each other, and nobody teaches. Okay, that's why there's this platform, and I hope you share this out with your other friends, because we're all about uplifting people. People say, how did you save your first $100,000? I'll be honest with you, I wasn't a brain. I was at the human resource person. I don't know if I told you this story. The guy say, let them take $100 out of each one of your checks. I'm like, hey, I went from nothing to $1,800 every 2 weeks working for Anheuser-Busch. So $100 was nothing. When I left 7 years later, I walked out there with $148,000, which enabled me to live for 2 years and buy my Avis franchise and front the money. That's how I was able to do that. And now, how do you do that? Easy. I don't have cable, but people tell me they're paying $150 for phone bill. Sometimes you got to cut out. Daddies, you talking about you ain't got no money? Instead of drinking a fifth of Hennessy every week, get rid of some of that foolishness, that waste. You got the money. See, it's not what you make; it's how much you save. If you're making $30,000 and you only spending 20, you 10,000 ahead versus a guy making 100,000. He's spending 110. He's 10,000 ahead. And remember, in a capitalistic society, when you have no capital, are bullets. If you have no money, because money begets money, it's called generational. And I don't want to sit back and beat us up, because when you sit back and look at how the people in North Dakota and Wyoming and all those places, that was land deeded. They just came, staked it out in the 1800s. As King said, if you listen to that, it was land grant. That's all you had to do is take it over. Stake it. Then they come back, loan you money to start a farm, loan you money to buy some machinery, and that was your land. And these people are sitting 7, 8 generations of this. I saw this up in North Dakota. Ask them, how did they get it? Oh, we took it from the Indians. Now it's worth money. Now oil's sitting on it. See, we didn't have that. Remember, some people, as we know, they came on the Mayflower, and some people came on those other ships. So you talk about Jim Crow, redlining. You go to Larry's Liquor Store on Schoolcraft. You go buy a little thing of open pit for $3.99. You go to Kroger's, you can get it for 99 cents. So the ghetto person, her $100 is really $25. The guy with 100, his 100 is about 200, as far as what you can buy in goods. So some of these things are just trapped on to keep you where you at, which is called broke intellectually. Because see, when you keep running the rental centers and you keep going and buy all this foolishness, you can't never get ahead because you don't have any seed money.
Yeah, it make a lot of sense. And the thing about it, I think the schools need to start teaching that. Because if don't nobody know about finance, it's going to be the same thing.
Well, I tell you what.
Because finance, think about it. I never didn't learn about it until I was grown. And so knowing about credit, or even like one of my buddies, I know he a white guy. He put his son's name on his credit card while he was in college. So for his son was in college 5 years. So at the end of those 5 years, he almost had a perfect credit score, because it looks like he's making those credit card payments for 5 years straight. Just a small trick like that we knew nothing about. You know what I'm saying? It's like a lot of information we don't have. And some of us not even in a position to get, because nobody around us know it.
See, I tell you, I was thinking about this. Here's the deal. The internet has the World Wide Web. Okay, so guess what? If you want to type in whatever, you can just get something on it. But I understand what you're saying. I was never taught. Okay, I showed you not to be a worker.
Yeah.
But guess what? My goal was, like I told you, after I figured out, was to work at a factory. But I'm teaching my kids. I hope you're teaching your daughter about money, about credit score. I hope they listen to you. But then you got to look at redlining. You got to look at what they did downtown, and all these downtowns, Cleveland, the Flats area. I mean, I was in Harlem this summer on Frederick Douglass and 123rd. That's where I always stay. It was a little bitty hotel. Now the Marriott brought it. I used to go there and pay $89 a night. Now it's $420 a night. So when you sit back and you look at real estate holdings, you look at assets versus liabilities. That's why you need to read or give everybody that Rich Dad Poor Dad. Money works for you. You don't work for money. But it gets back. How can mama teach you when mama at the casino? How can mama teach you when mama is living check to check? When her mama been living check to check? Okay? We don't understand how money works. Make your investment. Create passive income. We got money, but we want to go buy a Ferrari or a Cadillac, or we want to stunt, and with nothing. I sit back and look at these homecomers in these urban areas. I mean, people have helicopters. People are bringing horse and buggy carriers. The kid can't read. I mean, we have money, but we it's a cultural thing. You can't really get mad at us because you go to Africa, we some show off people. Mm-hmm. Okay, but we got to get past that. You see, when you look at people who got money, they wear LL Bean shoes, which cost a lot of money, but it's called quality. When you look at people with money, they are driving these little Subarus, but we want to stunt. Well, put it this way. It gets back, as you talk about economics, education, it gets back. I hope you get the two takeaways. The two takeaways. Only people who are going to lift us out of this situation is ourselves. Second takeaway, parent. If that superintendent or that principal or that school board don't give you what you want, it's called vote with your feet. Each one of your kids in the state of Michigan is worth anywhere from $8,000 to $12,000 to their school district. You take 10 of those kids out, that's $100,000. People listen when it comes to money. Remember, parents, we here to service you. Don't go in there cussing, clowning, because that won't get you your result. Your result is getting your kid in a position where he or she can win. Now, as far as comes to that money piece, we have to read about it. And where you can start first is Rich Dad, Poor Dad. We can start second, if you don't reap, you don't sow. Third part is this here. You got to have vision. They say people perish for a lack of vision. When you have no vision, when you all about stunting and not building no wealth for your family generationally, we're going to be in the same situation educationally and fiscally for the next 100 years. This stuff has been set in motion to make us be in this financial position. We'll see you next week for my last one, and thank you for listening. We really appreciate it, and I hope we uplifted you, and we're not trying to tear down, but I keep saying it because there's too many haters. Like I told you, they said Noah was crazy when he built the ship. Moses told Aaron, let's go. Those who want to listen, come on. Those who don't, be like my man's wife who turned into salt. I can't remember that story in the Bible, but Sodom and Gomorrah, be like that. Those who want to come, keep listening to us, keep sharing us, and give us some feedback. And come get this book, because this book is very powerful to uplift our young black men. God
we're gonna get that book away to the first 15 people that screenshot that they subscribe to the YouTube channel and email it to real.ish.radio@gmail.com. I had an email somewhere here floating for y'all, and like we always say, listen with your brain and not your heart. Don't be in your feelings. We trying to give information and game. So until next week, we out.